All right, so today we're going to dive deep into the story of Gideon,
Okay.
from the book of Judges.
Right.
And we've got a whole bunch of different sources, both devotional and analytical,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to be really interesting to kind of compare and contrast as we go.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're really looking at Gideon and how he went from this guy who's hiding in a wine press
Right.
to leading an army to victory.
It's a great story.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's just so many things I think we can glean from it
Oh, absolutely.
about facing our fears and overcoming,
Mm-hmm. Like stepping into your potential.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
sort of that whole like becoming who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and how God can use anybody.
Yes.
He uses the most unlikely people
Yeah, that's so true.
to do amazing things.
Yeah, and I think this story really resonates today
Oh, absolutely.
because I think everybody feels like they're hiding in a wine press sometimes.
That's right.
Right.
It's like you feel the pressures of life and everything's coming at you. And you just want to retreat and hide.
Yeah. And I think, especially for
Good.
people of faith,
Yeah.
we feel like we should have it all together.
Right. We should be
Beyond that.
We should be beyond the wine press.
We shouldn't be hiding.
Yeah.
Right.
But sometimes we are, and it's okay.
Exactly.
Well, and that's what's so great about Gideon's story is that he's honest
yes.
about his weakness.
Yes. He's like, are you sure you got the right guy?
Yeah. He's like, God, are you sure you want me?
I'm just like this, farmer guy hiding
That's right.
in a hole
Yeah.
making wine.
I love that part.
Yeah.
He's not some big, strong warrior.
Right.
He's just an ordinary guy.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're honest, haven't we all felt that way?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, God, are you sure you picked the right person for this?
Yeah. I mean, who hasn't felt inadequate or unqualified for something
Yeah.
God's called them to do?
Totally.
And that's what makes Gideon so relatable.
Yep.
He's just like us.
Okay, so let's set the stage here.
Okay.
So the Israelites are living in fear,
Yes, they
are
are.
hiding in caves, literally
In caves.
because the Midianites are so brutal.
Yes.
And they're coming in and they're stealing their food.
raiding their land, stealing their crops.
Yeah, and just making their lives miserable.
It's like they're living in survival mode.
Yeah,
Just barely scraping by.
and feeling totally abandoned by God.
Right. Like, where are you, God?
Yeah, we're your chosen people.
We thought you were going to take care of us.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's happening here?
So it's this classic underdog story.
Right.
You know?
They're at their lowest point.
Yeah,
They're ready to give up hope.
and then God shows up
Yeah.
and he chooses Gideon
Yeah.
to lead them
This unlikely hero.
out of this mess.
That's right.
But Gideon is not exactly thrilled about this.
Right.
He's full of self-doubt.
He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's like, you really want me to do this?
I'm not the guy for this job.
Can you blame him, though?
No, not at all.
Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Not equipped for a task?
for sure. Like, I'm not qualified for this.
Yeah.
God, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
But you know what I love about this is God doesn't say
Yeah.
to Gideon,
Yeah.
oh, just get over it.
Yeah, he doesn't rebuke him.
Yeah, just suck it up or anything. He's very patient with Gideon
Yes.
and he gently guides him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a place of confidence and faith.
And he gives him these tests.
He does.
Right?
He gives him the fleece.
The fleece.
Yeah.
So Gideon's like, okay, God, if you really want me to do this,
Prove it.
I need a sign.
Yeah.
And I want you to make the fleece wet and the ground dry.
Right.
And then I
So
want you to,
the next day,
switch it up.
make the ground wet
Yeah.
and the fleece dry.
Yeah. And it's so funny because
It is kind of funny.
we look back on this and we're
Yeah.
like, come on, Gideon.
Oh.
Yeah. Just trust God.
Just get with the program.
Yeah. But I think, haven't we all been there
Oh, absolutely.
where we just need that extra reassurance?
You need that confirmation.
Yeah. That proof that we're on the right track.
Yeah, we want to be sure
Yeah.
that we're hearing God correctly
Totally.
and that we're doing what he wants us to do.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting about these fleece tests
What?
is that they weren't just about proving God's power to Gideon.
Right.
They were actually about transforming Gideon's own self-perception.
Yeah.
It was about God saying to Gideon, hey, I see you differently than you see yourself.
Yeah.
You are capable of so much more than
Yeah.
you realize.
Okay. So God finally convinces Gideon to lead the army.
Okay.
And it starts out massive.
Huge.
It's like 32,000 men.
A massive army.
And then God's like, all right, I need you to whittle that down a bit.
It's like, that's a little too many.
And he's like, first of all, anybody who's afraid,
Go home.
go home.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's actually brilliant
It's really smart.
because fear is contagious.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you've got a bunch of scared soldiers,
Yeah.
it's not going to go well.
It's not a recipe for success.
And God gets even more specific.
He does.
It's like, okay, take the rest of the guys down to the water
Okay.
and watch how they drink.
Okay.
And the ones that lap the water, like dogs,
Yeah.
staying alert,
Mhm.
you know.
Keeping an eye on their surroundings.
Yeah, those are the ones I want.
The vigilant ones.
Yeah, and I was like, the water test.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it really reveals this principle of spiritual warfare.
What is that?
Vigilance.
Okay.
You see the soldiers who knelt down to drink.
Right.
They were vulnerable. Their heads were down. They weren't paying attention to what was going on around them.
So they could be attacked.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But the ones who lapped the water,
Uh-huh.
they stayed alert. They were ready for anything.
Wow. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But so how does that apply to us today?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
We're not exactly facing Midianite armies, are we?
Well, not literally.
Right.
But I think we are constantly bombarded with information,
Yes.
distractions,
Temptations.
all these things that can pull us away from God's truth and his purpose for our lives.
Yeah.
So spiritual vigilance is about staying aware,
Okay.
discerning what's truly important,
Yeah.
and staying connected to God's guidance
Yeah.
in the midst of all the noise.
It's like we need to be those lappers,
Yes.
constantly scanning our surroundings,
Right.
making sure we're not getting sucked into distraction
Exactly.
or compromising our values.
Yeah, it's about being proactive,
Yeah.
not reactive. It's
Yeah.
about choosing to focus on what really matters
Yeah.
and staying aligned with God's will.
So we've got these 300 vigilant warriors,
Yeah,
and they're ready to take on the Midianites.
here we go.
But God's like, okay, we're not going to do this
Yeah.
the way you think.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I want you to use psychological warfare,
Right?
trumpets and torches.
I love this part.
It's such a,
It's so crazy.
yeah, it's like, who would thought
That would be.
an effective weapon?
Yeah, it's such a David and Goliath scenario.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
God working through the unexpected,
Yeah.
the seemingly weak and insignificant to confound the strong and the proud.
So the Midianites, they hear all this noise.
Right.
And they're like, oh no, we're about to be attacked by a huge army.
They panic.
Yeah.
They freak out.
And they end up turning on each other.
It's total chaos.
Yeah.
And they end up destroying themselves.
So right before this epic showdown,
Yeah.
Gideon overhears something
Uh-huh.
that gives him this total confidence boost.
Yeah.
He hears a Midianite soldier talking about this dream.
A dream
Yeah,
about a loaf of bread,
I know.
a barley loaf.
Destroying their entire camp.
I know. It's like, wait,
A
what?
loaf of bread.
A loaf of bread took us down.
I know.
Seriously.
So what do you think that symbolizes?
Oh, it's pretty obvious. I think the barley loaf represents Gideon,
Right.
the underdog,
Yeah.
the weak thing.
The one no one thought could do it.
Yeah, that God chooses to use
Yes.
to bring down the mighty.
I love that.
It's such a beautiful picture
Yeah.
of God's power working through humility
Yeah.
and unexpected means.
So you start to see Gideon's fear and doubt kind of melt away
Yes,
as he starts to witness God's hand at work.
that's right.
And he's like, oh, maybe I am that mighty warrior.
Maybe God knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning of Gideon's transformation.
Right.
He's going to go from hiding in a wine press
That's right.
to leading an army to victory.
And there are so many lessons we can learn
Yes.
from his journey.
That are so relevant for our lives today.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing, isn't it? That this dream
Oh, yeah.
reflects Gideon's self-perception.
Right.
He thinks he's just this like insignificant
Yeah.
barley loaf.
A nobody.
Yeah. And yet he's going to bring down
That's
this whole empire.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inspiring
It really is.
that he goes through this transformation from feeling totally unqualified to leading with courage.
And conviction.
Yeah, it's not just a military victory.
No,
it's personal.
It's a personal victory
Well,
over fear and self-doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something I think we all struggle with.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, who hasn't felt
Yeah.
stuck in a rut, you know?
Limited by our past.
Yeah, limited by our past mistakes,
Yeah.
our insecurities, our failures.
Yeah. And this story just reminds us
Yes.
that God can break those chains.
He can set us free to become the best versions of ourselves.
And that best version of ourselves
Yes.
reminded me of something that one of the devotional sources.
Okay, what's that?
The importance of character inventory.
Oh, yeah.
You
It's
know,
not stock.
like taking a personal assessment of our strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah, I love that.
our values, our integrity.
It's about self-awareness.
Yeah.
As a catalyst for spiritual growth.
Yeah, like just getting real with ourselves
Yeah.
about who we are.
Yeah, what are we good at?
Yeah.
Where do we need to improve?
Are we falling short?
Yeah, and
Okay.
how do those things impact our relationship with God and our ability to serve his purposes?
Because sometimes I think we're so busy trying to look good.
Yes.
You know?
We're so focused on outward appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we forget about actually being good.
Right.
Developing those core character traits.
Yeah, those core values, that integrity
Yeah.
that allow us to walk with God
Yeah.
and make wise choices.
So it's not just about outward actions.
No.
It's about
inward transformation.
Yeah.
And that requires honesty, self-reflection.
Yeah, being willing to look in the mirror and say,
Yeah, where am I kneeling down to drink? Metaphorically speaking.
yeah, instead of staying alert,
Right.
you know.
And aligned with God's will.
Okay, so we've seen Gideon
Yeah.
go from hiding to leading,
It's right.
doubting to believing.
Yeah.
He's achieved this incredible victory.
Mm-hmm.
But as we all know, life isn't always a smooth upward climb.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, life is full of twists and turns.
There are going to be setbacks.
Yeah, and Gideon's story
Yeah.
definitely has some of those.
It does.
Yeah, even though he's experienced God's power in amazing ways.
Right.
He makes a mistake later on.
He does.
He creates an ephod
Yeah.
that becomes an object of idolatry,
Yeah, for the Israelites.
which is a big no-no.
It's a big no-no.
Right.
So it's just a reminder that even the most faithful among us
Yeah,
can stumble.
we can all fall short.
Yeah, we're all human.
We're all human.
We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, even after we've experienced incredible spiritual breakthroughs.
It's like that saying, right?
What's that?
The only people who don't make mistakes
Yeah,
are the ones who aren't doing anything.
that's true.
But it's what we do after the mistake
Right.
that really matters.
That's what defines us.
Yeah.
It's about owning our mistakes,
Yes.
seeking forgiveness,
Yeah.
learning from them,
Yeah.
and allowing God to redeem us.
And that's where the growth comes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's in those moments of humility
Yes.
that we experience true growth
Yeah.
and deeper dependence on God.
Yeah, it's not about achieving some kind of spiritual perfection.
No,
It's
really
about,
not. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about continually seeking God,
yeah,
admitting when we mess up,
yeah.
and allowing him to course correct us.
And that requires humility.
It does.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so powerful about Gideon's story,
Okay.
is this idea of partnership with God,
Yeah.
you know?
It's not just about God doing everything for us.
Right. It's not just God fighting our battles for us.
Right.
But it's like,
We have a part to play.
yeah, we have to actively participate.
Right.
And I love that
Yeah.
his battle cry
What was it?
was a sword for the Lord
Yeah.
and for Gideon.
That's right.
You know?
He was actively engaged.
Yeah, he's engaged in the fight.
He wasn't just sitting back
Right.
and letting God do all the work.
Yeah.
He was stepping into his God-given role.
Yes. And sometimes that means letting go
Oh, yeah.
of our need to control everything.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. God often works in ways that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Through methods that seem
Crazy.
unconventional,
Yeah.
illogical even.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
using a tiny army of 300 to defeat
Right.
thousands.
A massive army.
Yeah. Or using trumpets and torches
Yeah.
to create chaos and confusion.
Right. And we do the same thing.
I know.
We try to solve our problems with
Yeah.
our own limited resources.
Yeah, we think we have it all figured out.
Yeah.
We got to do it our way.
And then we miss out on
Mhm.
God's power.
We miss out on the power
Yeah.
and the creativity
Yeah.
that God brings to the table
Yeah.
when we surrender our plans to him.
And it's so easy to buy into that message today
What's that?
that we need to have it all together,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
The pressure to be
Yeah,
perfect.
we need to be perfect and successful.
Yeah, to be worthy of love and acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge lie.
Yeah.
And Gideon's story
Yeah.
offers such a powerful counter-narrative.
Yeah.
You know, he was chosen,
Yeah.
not because he was perfect
Right.
or had it all
Or
together,
had all the answers.
but because he was willing to say yes to God.
Even in his weakness.
Yeah, even in his uncertainty.
And I think that's so encouraging.
It is.
That God sees our potential.
Yeah.
Even when we can't see it.
He sees the best in us,
Yeah.
even when we can only see the worst.
Yeah. And he's willing to work with
Yeah.
our imperfections.
Our doubts,
Yeah.
our fears. Yeah, to make us into those mighty warriors.
He wants to shape us
Yeah.
into the people he created us to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
And one source even challenged us directly
Oh, really?
by saying,
What did they say?
what Midianites are you facing?
Oh, wow.
What fears or insecurities are holding you back
That's a good question.
from experiencing God's victory
Yeah.
in your life?
Yeah, I think that's something we all need to ask ourselves.
I know. It's so easy to get caught up in our own little world.
Our own little problem.
Yeah, and forget that God is working
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
God is orchestrating a much bigger story.
Yeah, he's got a plan.
Yeah, a story of redemption and victory.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this part
Yeah.
of our deep dive into Gideon's story,
Okay.
I just want to encourage you to think about,
Yeah.
what are those Midianites in your life?
What are those giants you're facing?
What are those fears that are holding you captive?
What are those things that are keeping you
Yeah.
from stepping into your full potential?
Yeah. And what would it look like for you
Yeah.
to step out of your wine press?
To step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and embrace your identity
Yeah.
as a mighty warrior,
As a child of God.
equipped and empowered
Yeah.
for the God of the impossible.
I love that.
You know, it's so easy to feel small,
Oh, yeah.
like our problems are just too big.
Right. Like we're just one person.
Yeah.
What difference can I make?
Yeah, like my efforts are too little.
Right.
But Gideon's story is like the opposite of that.
It totally flips the script.
Yeah, it's a reminder that God uses ordinary people
Yes.
to do extraordinary things.
And one of the sources pointed that out.
Okay.
That God often chooses the foolish things of this world
Right.
to confound the wise.
The weak things to confound the strong.
Yeah. He loves to use ordinary people
Yeah.
to accomplish extraordinary things.
And it's not just about those big moments.
Right.
You know, the mountaintop experience.
Yeah, everything's perfect.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
It's easy to focus on those.
But Gideon's story is also about
Yeah.
the messy middle.
The doubts,
Yeah.
the setbacks.
Yeah.
The times when we want to give up.
Yeah.
You know, the in-between moments.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so relatable about him.
Totally.
He wasn't this like
Yeah.
superhuman spiritual giant.
Right.
He was
He was just a normal dude.
a real person.
Yeah. With fears and insecurities.
Yeah.
Just like us.
And it's easy to look back on these Bible stories and be like,
yeah.
well, that was then.
Those are different times. God doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's dangerous
It is.
to think that way.
It limits God.
Yeah.
We put him in a box.
What if he's still
Yeah.
choosing ordinary people?
What if he's still looking for Gideons
Yes.
in our world today?
Yeah, people who are just willing to say yes.
People who are willing to step out in faith,
Yeah.
even when they don't feel qualified.
Yeah, even when they don't feel ready.
Prepare.
Yeah, and it's not just about us.
Right.
It's about the ripple effect.
Yeah. Gideon's obedience brought freedom and peace to an entire nation.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
One person's faithfulness
Yeah.
can have a huge impact
On the world around us.
on our communities, on our families, on our friends.
So it's like those small acts of courage.
Those little moments.
Yeah, where we choose faith over fear.
Those can spark a chain reaction
As
of
it's-
hope and transformation.
That we might not even see.
That's right.
Yeah.
We may never fully understand
Yeah.
the impact of our obedience.
Okay, so as we wrap up
Okay.
this deep dive into Gideon's story,
Mm-hmm.
here's what I want you to take away.
Okay.
You are capable of more than you realize.
Don't underestimate yourself.
God sees your potential,
Yeah.
even when you don't.
He sees the best in you.
He's not looking for perfection.
No.
He's looking for,
He's looking for willing hearts.
yes.
Hearts that are open to his guidance.
Yeah, and it's a partnership.
Yeah, we're not in this alone.
God provides the strength.
The wisdom,
Yeah, the victory.
the ultimate victory.
But we got to participate.
Yeah.
We got to show up.
We got to do our part.
Yeah.
We got to step out of our comfort zones.
Face our fears.
Yeah.
Trust that God's going to work through us.
Absolutely.
So what's your Midian?
What's that giant you're facing?
What's that impossible dream
Yeah.
that you think is just never going to happen?
What's holding you back?
Don't let fear hold you back.
Remember Gideon?
Yeah.
God used him
Yeah, he can use you.
in amazing ways.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
May you be filled with courage and confidence.
Go out there and conquer your Midianites.
Yes, go conquer your Midianites.